Yeah, so here I have my power shelf and the iCharger 1010B Plus, and I've got that hooked up over here to one of the groups of cells I took out of the first battery. I think this is my pack number 3, and I just finished topping it off at 3 amps. So I'm going to wait until tonight, and then I'll do a 3 amp discharge overnight. That takes 11 or 12 hours, and that way I can pump the power back into my solar battery bank. And then I'll get a capacity test on this pack after roughly 5 months of operation. Yeah, good morning YouTube. So I finally got a good capacity test on this pack number 3, which I took out of the original 4S battery. So I had a few problems getting this to test. The first thing I did was I just took it out of the battery. It had been on float charge for most of the day, and I thought, okay, it's pretty well charged, so I hooked it up here to the iCharger and I put it on charge just to see if it needed to be topped off, and it took just a little bit, maybe 500 milliamp hours. Said it was full. I did a capacity test and it came out about 27 amp hours, which was quite a bit lower than the 32.7 that it originally tested at. So I thought maybe it hadn't actually been fully charged, so I charged it up again, and I couldn't remember what my status was with using the balance cables here. I figured I would try it with the balance cable hooked up here, and I clipped on to the plus and the minus terminals there and did a charge, and I think it took about 29 amp hours roughly. And when I did the capacity test, discharge test, it was about 28.7 as I recall, so still quite low. And then I remembered that that's why I wasn't using the balance cables to charge these. I think I'd already charged it back up again. And so what I did was I disconnected the balance cables and I took about 6.5 amp hours out of the battery, dropping it to around 3.8 volts, and then I put it back on a 3 amp charge, and it took 10.5 amp hours to get back to full charge. So I essentially put 4 more amp hours into the battery, and that's where I came up with this value. I got 32,464, so 32.46 amp hours. And originally I had 32.727, so it's lost roughly 260 milliamp hours over 150 days or 5 months of use, which works out to about 3/4%. So not a whole lot of degradation. If you work that out times 10, so 50 months, you'd be looking at about 7.5% capacity loss, and double that again to 100 months, you'd be looking at maybe 15% capacity loss, and that's about 8.5 years of daily cycling. So I think these batteries are doing pretty good. The only problem is with these used batteries here, you don't quite know where they are in their lifetime, because at a certain point the capacity starts dropping off much faster. There's sort of a linear range where they're just slowly losing a little capacity on each cycle, and then at a certain point you hit the knee of the curve and they rapidly lose capacities. I don't know how long these will stay in that linear region, but that's looking pretty promising. So this is my pack number 3. I've got it discharged. So this is pack number 4, which is of a similar capacity. And what I'm going to do today is I'll discharge this for a couple of hours. Right now it's at 3.96 volts. So I'll discharge it to 3.8, bring it back up to 4 volts, and then overnight I'll do a 3 amp discharge and measure its capacity. So we'll see if we get the same results on this one. So yeah, then I'll have these 2 cycled packs tested, and then I'll figure out which of the other 4 non-cycled packs that I have that would be the best match to go with these two, and then I'll put together a second 4S battery. Let me get going on that. I'll get these reconfigured and get them tested, so I'll post an update video when I get this pack tested and we can compare the results. And if you have any questions or comments about that, post up in the comment section down below. And as always, thanks for watching.